It was originally the General Post Office for Carlisle, and it was designed and built for that purpose and completed in 1916. Two gentlemen who were the co-owners of the building joined forces to actually buy the building, and at that point they didn't have really any idea what they were going to use the building for. It was only after a period of time that they thought, well, actually it would make a really good hotel or apartments, that they started to draw plans together. And before we knew it, all the ideas had escalated and it had evolved to become an apart hotel with bar, restaurant and function space.
The first introduction to Halston, we was asked to look at some external lighting. The actual end client was tidying up the front of the hotel. While they had the access equipment there, we recommended some lighting to maximise the impact of the building.
We sandblasted the whole of the building of the outside from when we purchased it at the beginning, and really once all the sandstone had been cleaned up, we really wanted to highlight that with the correct lighting. There were original big globes out in the front and they were taken down and restored and cleaned up, and then we needed additional lighting. Really it was to sort of enhance the architecture of the building. On
the front of the Halston we used the FL200. It's quite a small, compact unit, so it's not going to affect the look of the building in the daytime. It's a fully sealed fitting, so any fully sealed fitting from Collingwood comes with a 7-year warranty. We class the fittings an architectural flood, so because of the beam angles, you don't need anything very, very wide. You're usually trying to pick out a feature or a column, so the beam angles are relatively tight. The fittings are running at about 21, 22 watts, including the driver, so they're a very, very energy efficient fitting. The reception area is the first feature that you see in the building, so it had to be a very welcoming area. We wanted to keep the light at a certain level to reflect the feel of the building. Not to flood the area with light, but to enhance the features. In the corridor areas, the client wanted to create a certain look. Nothing sort of too bright, too glaring, just a very sort of traditional look, but obviously utilising the latest LED technology. What we did in those areas, we kept the fittings at a very, very tight beam angle. So you played with the shadows on the walls, and you put the lighting on the floor, which was where the regulations wanted it. In general, we have a 38 degree and a 60 degree fitting. Because the ceiling heights in the Halston especially are quite high, if you use a tighter beam angle, the light's going to be, it's got further to travel, so it's going to have spread out where you want it. If the ceilings had been lower, we'd have used a different beam angle. We sort of played about in certain areas as well. So for example, they was having open existing staircase, the traditional features of the building, but they was putting a complete glass lift in. It was an ideal area to accent the colour changing in the venue area with the colour changing of the lift. Our original idea for the function space was that we didn't want it to be a traditional ballroom style room that felt, we didn't want people wanting to have a wedding thinking, oh, it was very corporate, very business, and we didn't want people who are coming to use it for a corporate business event to think, oh, it's a fabulous wedding venue, but we feel it's not quite right for business. So it was very difficult to try and get something that would fit for both markets. And what was apparent, that the way that could be driven was by the lighting, by having it so that it could be changeable, it could be softened, it could be colour coordinated, and it could be able to be toned down in the volume of the light, so from a brightness for the daytime for corporate to very much soft and intimate for maybe more of a wedding or a party, but something quite funky if it was a disco or music event. And therefore we needed something that was flexible, that was changeable and could actually adapt to whatever the event we were hosting. One way to do this very easily was to use colour changing fittings. It was an ideal area to put hidden LED tape. Again, we can have sort of white or colour changing. We use it as an indirect feature where it'll sort of hit the ceiling and bounce back down. And it's on a DMX protocol. DMX protocol is literally anybody can plug in and set it up
We can use our own controllers, we can use third-party controllers.
It's all done through an iPad, so it's all very user-friendly, and we have a system set up that we can already have pre-arranged, pre-organised colour schemes. So we've set it up so depending on what the event is, so we can very quickly switch that on, and we can go to preset colour schemes if we wanted to, and that we can change that throughout the event as well. So for example, if it's dinner, we can have the pre-dinner lighting, the dinner, and then after dinner, then the band, and then the party, and we can just at a touch of a button change it immediately. So each time somebody comes, that room can look completely different, and that is something that's unique in this area that we'll be able to offer, and that's been one of our key selling points for that room.
You know, the LED lighting, it's just unobtrusive, and you don't really know it's there unless it's on, and then you certainly do.